Hey everybody, welcome back to Ryan's Trumpet. It's actually been 20 years now that I've been looking for the solution to a challenge in my trumpet playing. That every time that I would start a note, I would feel the need to kind of brace my throat, like to put tension in my throat in order to start the sound. While I was at the International Trumpet Guild conference, I had like this perfect confluence of events that unlocked the source of this challenge on the physical side. One of the things that has been absolutely key to this very exciting discovery is this new bit of equipment here. Now, this is not a paid advertisement. Tom doesn't even know that I'm making this video, and I didn't even know that I would. I didn't know if this device which he's created would actually help me as much as it has. So this is the embouchure that Tom Hooten created. It basically has this spring-loaded device here. The metal device is guiding the formation of an aperture that wants to vibrate. The first thing that happened was that I actually went to Tom's booth. I played for him. The way that I buzzed on this sounded like this. So it was a very airy buzz. Tom, the second he heard me buzz like that, he immediately said, "That's not the sound that you want to go for." And he demonstrated for me a sound that had a lot more gristle in it to my ear. He kept using the analogy of a double reed. Two vibrating surfaces working together to get the most vibration possible. Rather than this, it was something like this. And he played that sound and I was absolutely stymied. It was like, that made no sense to me at the time as a player. So I asked him, I kind of pushed back on it. I said, "Tom, but when you play, your sound is so free and relaxed. And what you just did to my ears is even closer together and almost firmer and tighter than I would ever have guessed." And he said, "Yeah, the sound is free and relaxed, but what you don't understand is how small that vibrating surface actually is." And then shortly after that, I got to go to lunch with Whiff Rudd, and I was talking to him about this stuff that Tom said to me. So Whiff picked up a pencil, or it's actually a chopstick, and he said, "This is like the aperture. If the aperture is really efficient, we'll make it so that the smallest movement at the aperture causes a lot of movement in the horn. But most of us have a setup that's a little bit less efficient than it could be, and that's kind of like grabbing the pencil by the middle. So then to get the same amount of motion in the horn, we have to do way more work to get the horn to move. So the game is, how do you get the most efficient setup for the aperture to do this?" And then Tom gave a full masterclass. And he said, if you think about a double reed, one end of the reed is bound very tightly together, and it just stays the same all the time. And then the tip of the reed is essentially like very thin, ready to vibrate together. He said he feels like this part, it's like the outer part of the embouchure is kind of like where the double reed is bound, and that there's a tension or firmness that we have to have in our setup, all the way to this very focused, very small, very efficient vibrating surface where both sides of the reed vibrate. And he said before he figured this out, that when he would play, he said there were times where he would go to play and it would feel like there was nothing there to support him. He said the analogy he kept using was like putting out your hand to get support from a piece of cloth. He started to talk about this thing that he called pinning, which is basically having an upper lip where the muscle is not engaged. And so players learn how to use the metal of the mouthpiece to pin the aperture together. And it dawned on me in that moment, that's what I've been doing my whole life as a trumpet player. After the masterclass, I went back to Tom's table and bought this. And I thought now I would just show you some things that have been very helpful. So the first thing that I had to get to work on was how to get to that really, it sounded like a tight buzz to me, but it's not. But it's definitely the vibrating surface of the upper and lower lip is much, 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 much smaller than I ever understood it to be. I had to go from this kind of a sound to this kind of a sound. The ridge here at the top as it comes out of the lips, it basically gave me a tactile way of understanding how to form a tunnel aperture that allows for this very focused buzz to be experienced, not just talked about. That's what I think is what's so brilliant about what Tom figured out here. I can feel in a very concrete way exactly which part of the lip I want to have engaged in the vibration. That's the closest to the sound that I want that I've gotten today. Most common pitfalls for me in my practice. The first is that when I go to play and it wouldn't vibrate at first, I'd go and nothing would come. If I wasn't careful, I would quickly go back to trying to brace my throat and blow harder to make the vibration work. So it's absolutely critical that you keep the exhale the energy of the exhale stays the same, and that goes back to earlier videos I did, but it's like Sam Palafin would say, we build everything on the stream, or Chikowitz would say, always blow the same, or Carmine would say, blow through the first note the whole time. The idea of an unchanging airstream around which our embouchure and aperture adapts seems to be a central principle in every major line of pedagogy on the trumpet. So this has helped me understand that even more concretely, or rather help me experience it directly. So don't let the exhale change. Don't blow harder to make it work. You want to allow a lot of trial and error while you allow the embouchure to adapt around the device and to learn to set itself up so that without changing the nature of the exhale, you get that focused vibration. And for me, it's everything had to come together. The lower lip had to come up. The firmness all the way to the point of vibration had to be increased. Like it was a level of focused firmness with a teeny ballpoint pen's worth of vibrating tissue. It's a totally different way of thinking about playing for me. And then I will start to move around on the mouthpiece. Where I'm trying to keep the readiness of the, for lack of a better word, or when I went up to the top note there, it lost some of the readiness. So now I'll try one more time and see if I can get that back. And now at this point I can tell, like this is a workout to do this. So I can tell actually I need to take a break now because it didn't want to keep the readiness up there. So I'll pause for a minute. So the next step for me is I jump from Tom's embouchure over to this visualizer by Lynn Asper. But now I'm going to start at the top of the staff for me, but if I were a younger player, I would still start in the middle. So very important to just trust wherever you can get that focused vibration. I can hear as I go down low that I'm losing the double reed quality of the sound. Rather than keeping the aperture really small and allowing it to vibrate, it's almost like I'm smashing it together too much and I'm losing some of the reedy quality. So I practice working that out. There was more tension than I needed, but I'm not going for perfect, I'm going for better. And today that was good for me. That was a successful warm-up. And if I can keep that nice vibrating double reed sound on the visualizer on my horn after setting it up with the embouchure, then I'm ready to go to the horn. Now that I have experienced directly how small and efficient and focused that aperture is going to be, and just how much more I have to set up the entire network of muscles to firm on the bones of the skull and the teeth, to set up that pinpointed tunnel of vibration, now I'm ready to go to the horn. This is my new turbo wood mouthpiece from Lotus, which I am loving, by the way. Those are my first notes of the day. I mean, I was very happy with the ease of that sound. I felt like I didn't have to tongue too hard. I just came, bow, there's sound. And so this 3-step process of going from the embouchure to the Asper visualizer to playing the horn, it's like 1, 2, 3. That's how I start my day now. Just a couple of warnings. The most important two are, one, that the mouthpiece still has to be set in the tissue outside of the lips. It's not going to work if the mouthpiece is set in the lip tissue. That will never work, I don't think. Happy to be proven wrong. So I do know a couple of players who place the bottom rim in the lip tissue and it still works. That's rare, but I have seen it work. But the second thing I would say is the lip tissue that's vibrating is the outer lip tissue, not the inner lip tissue. Just this week, I saw someone advise a young trumpeter to focus on getting a buzz on the inner tissue of the lips. That will harm trumpet players to do that. So those two principles, those have to be in place. And if they are, you go for that reedy, reedy focused sound on the aperture. And then when you go to the horn, it's just in a place where you don't have to blow hard or tongue hard or work hard, other than that really efficient setup for you to play freely. Second set of notes today. That's a brand new thing for me, so maybe it will be for you too. Good luck to all of you in your trumpet journeys, and I'm excited to be back. Definitely looking forward to season 2, and thanks again for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next episode.